Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. Today I've come to a commercial fishery. Now, most people think of commercial fisheries as carp puddles, but there's some surprise species in a lot of commercials nowadays, and this one in particular has a lot of nice perch in it. Up to £3, some of them, maybe even more. Bigger perch are potentially in here, so I'm going to try and catch a few of those today. I'm going to be using float tactics to start off with. I may put the feeder out later. I'll see how the float goes first. I'm going to be using red maggots and worms as bait. I'm going to be using the worms, which are dendrobenas. I'm going to be using those primarily on the hook and feeding red maggots, and hopefully we can catch a few. It's a lovely day. It's a bit overcast, a bit of bright sunlight coming through every now and again. The water's got a nice tinge of colour to it, so hopefully that can help us. And without further ado, I'm going to get fishing and try and catch a few perch, because they definitely are in here. I've had them before up to about £2.5–3, so that's promising. I'm hoping for a big one as well. A big personal best would be nice, even though I don't weigh my fish very often. It would be nice to catch a big perch. So I'm going to get started, and I'll show you the tackle I'm using in a short while, and hopefully it won't be long before we can show you a fish. Right, well, let's have a look at the tackle I'm using today. It's basically a fixed bore reel loaded with 6-pound line. It's a 12-foot float rod. Now, I prefer for perch to use a soft action rod, a very soft tip. I don't like stiff tips for perch because I find you bounce a lot of fish off, especially when using barbless hooks, like this one, which is a size 10. Nice size 10, a nice sharp hook. Baiting that with a couple of dendrobenas, one or two. Above that I've got a single number 6 shot just there, just to sink the bait through the water a little bit quicker. You get down to the bottom past the nuisance fish. You can put a bit more on if you want to, a bit more shot just to get down a bit quicker again, press the bite per small roach if you could, and small rod and things like that. And there I've got a nice little, a very thin, fine float. Now perch don't like resistance. They're not very, line shy, especially in these commercial waters where, the water's quite coloured, and they're not really line shy perch, but they don't like resistance. That's the reason as well, when I'm fishing with the feeder, I like to use a very sensitive quiver tip, but a very light, bright tipped float. That's the 3BB. I use a little float adapter as well, just so I can change the float if I need to. And basically that's the tackle I'm using. I'm just using a simple float rig, feeding maggots, dendrobenas on the hook, and I'm just basically feeding little and often, and hopefully, that'll be a successful tactic that you can put into your fishing. Just a simple float. But just keep in mind that you just need to use a very sensitive float, a thin bodied float. Not want to use big fat bodied floats and a big thick tip. If you can, use a float with an insert tip as well, like an insert waggler or something with a very fine tip, and hopefully I can get you some fish. I've enjoyed today's session, but it's been difficult so far, but hopefully we can catch them. And there you go, a lovely, lovely perch. What a fish. Not the biggest I've ever caught from here, but a lovely fish nonetheless, and I'm really pleased with that. Look at the size of the mouth on it. Absolutely cavernous mouth, with a few roach and rudd have disappeared down there over the years. Fantastic. Look at that, a beautiful perch. I'm really pleased with it, I really am. All the hard work's paid off. I had to wait a while for the bite, but it was well worth it. So let's get this fish back, and let's try and catch another one. Right, well, since that perch I've had to change tactic a little bit. I was having a little bit of a problem actually. Feeding all those maggots had just attracted a load of roach into the swim, so what I've done, I've put a swim feeder on. A little maggot feeder, a little camisole black cap, and I've put on a big size 6 hook, and I've put 3 worms on the hook. Now that's going to be an attractive big bait, so I've cast it down the margin, put a couple of handfuls of loose feed. I think he's just waiting for the perch to come along now and take my bait, because we just that difficult, you see, because I was casting out, and before the float had even settled, the roach were absolutely obliterating the worm on the hook, so it was impossible to get past them. So what I've done, I've gone out for the waiting game really. I've put a feeder on, as I said, with 2 or 3 worms on a hook, on a big hook. I put it down the margin. I'm just going to wait now, and hopefully I can catch a few bigger fish. Hopefully that will be the way to go, because you know, of that one perch so far, it's not been an easy session, and I think just waiting and putting a rig in place, just hoping that a big fish comes along and takes it, is the way to go. So that's what I'm doing for now, and fingers crossed it won't be long and we'll get another one soon. But difficult, but at least I've had the one, that's the main thing. So keep plodding on, and hopefully we can catch another. Well, the feeder tactics paid off. It's only been out a couple of minutes and I've already got one. Lovely perch. Not quite as big as the last one. It's a lovely fish though. Lively fella. Look at him, isn't he lovely? Beautiful colours. There's a bit more nicer colours on this one than the last one. The last one was a bit pale, but this one's a bit smaller, but it's a lovely fish nonetheless. Beautiful little perch. And well, it's been a good session so far. It's been difficult with the float, but they're certainly taking the worms now, and hopefully I can get a few more lovely perch stats. So let's get him back, get the feeder rig back out, and try and catch another one. Well, fantastic. Well, that's about it for me today. It's gone dead now. I haven't been able to buy a boat for the last 2 hours, apart from a couple of little F1s and a little bream. It's been very difficult, but I've had the 2 perch. Nice perch, they weren't massive, but they'll do. They've made me happy anyway, and I've had a good session. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something from it. If you've liked the video, why not subscribe to my channel, give me a like and drop me a comment in the comment section. So thanks for watching, and for now it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you soon out on the bank somewhere.